Nico Harrison cannot screw this up. We're officially 1 week away from the draft lottery where we'll finally find out where do the Mavericks land. Will we get the 11th pick like a lot of people are predicting? Or will we, for the first time in franchise history, move up in the draft, potentially get the number 1 pick and draft Cooper, flag number 1 overall? But regardless of where we land in the draft, it is very important on who we pick. Do we get another big? Do we get another wing? A point guard? Nico Harrison has got to make sure whoever we do draft is exactly what we need, as we have a lot of unanswered questions for this upcoming year. So in this video, we're going to go over our entire draft situation. Who is it that we could potentially draft? Where are we most likely to land? And what does this mean for the Mavericks moving forward? But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavs Digest, bringing you the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we get started with today's video, we are currently sitting at 20,373 subscribers. Just want to say thank you guys so much for all the love and support. And although it is the off season, it's not my off season. And if you want to be up to date on everything Mavericks related, especially in the upcoming days until draft, we are be going over every single potential lottery pick player. If you want all that breakdown and analysis, make sure you subscribe. But the Dallas Mavericks had a pretty rough season. We had some trades, we had some injuries. Kyrie Irving is one of our biggest injuries, and we have a big need that needs to be filled in this upcoming summer, whether it's through the draft, free agency, trades, whatever may have you. The Dallas Mavericks have a few needs, not that many, but some dire needs that need to be filled. And a lot of people would argue that the draft is the best place to do it. We have a lottery pick. We're going to be in the top 14. We may just be the 11th pick overall, as we don't really have that high draft odds. I think only about 1.8% to get the number 1 pick, but that doesn't mean that we won't find a good player. This draft is seen as one of the deepest drafts in recent memory, and we won't really know how deep it is until a few years later and see how these players develop. But at least from a perspective standpoint of potential, yes, this is a very deep draft. We could find a good player at the number 4 pick, the number 10 pick, the 11th pick, the 14th pick. We will have a good selection of players to draft, but it's all about need. And with Kyrie Irving being out for at least a year, maybe less, I've been hearing December, January timeframe, we will need to have somebody at the point guard position to hold things down until he gets back. And of course, we have Brandon Williams, who looked great for us last season when we had so many injuries and players gone, that he obviously did deserve the contract that he did get, and he will be back next season. And I hope to see him take that starting point guard position, as we do have a few point guards that may not be here. Specifically, Dante Exum as well as Spencer Dinwiddie are on expiring contracts and may not return. So obviously, Brandon Williams will have more run and more minutes at the point guard position. And if we do decide to keep Jaden Hardy, then yeah, Jaden Hardy's also going to be at the point guard position. But that will not be enough for this team next year, where yeah, we're trying to win now. Our window to compete is right now, but we got to make sure that position is properly maintained until Kyrie Irving comes back. And the draft is one place that we could definitely fill that need. But if we take a look right here, we are, like I said, we are 1 week until the NBA draft lottery. Will the Dallas Mavericks move up in the draft lottery for the first time ever? And yes, I checked. We've never moved up at all. But like I said, that does not mean we cannot find good players wherever we may land. And that does hold true if you look back in our history. If you take a look at all these players that we've drafted, at the very bottom, we had the number 5 overall pick, and we did get Trae Young, and we traded for Luka Doncic. So that showed you didn't need the number 1 pick, you just needed the right player in mind. And in the next few seasons, it wasn't the best. The following year, we had a second-round pick. It was a late second-round pick, didn't really matter. The following year, we did have 1 first-round pick and 1 second-round pick. That first-round pick was Josh Green. And Josh Green provided a lot of hustle for us. Hustle Man Green, as I like to call him, was a good role player for us. We did have to trade him in that trade to get Klay Thompson to Dallas. 2 years later, when we finally had another pick, we drafted Wendell Moore. He had to be traded to another team, but that same year, we did get Jaden Hardy. Then the following year, we got Cason Wallace, who we did trade for Derrick Lively, and that was with the 10th overall pick. So that shows you right there, you don't need the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick, 3, 4, 5 pick to find a good player. We had the 10th overall pick. We traded that for Derrick Lively, who had an amazing rookie year for us, helped us big time in the playoffs as we made a push all the way to the finals. And although he's been dealing with injuries in his rookie year and his sophomore year, and hopefully not by his 3rd year, he is just a testament that you can still find good players outside of the top 4 players in any draft, as long as your scouts and your GM do their job. Now, I know nobody wants to admit it, but Nico Harrison has a very good draft track record. He is going to do a good job. At least he's always has done a good job. If you still want to be a Mavs fan, if you still hope this team will do better in the future, then you got to hope that Nico, for one split second, does a good job on draft night and draft the best player available. But that also bodes the question, do we draft the best player available or do we draft the player that fits our need? Obviously, if you get Cooper Flag, if you have the number one pick, yeah, Cooper Flag's probably a no-brainer. Duh. But if you don't have the number one pick, do you still go for a Dylan Harper, an Ace Bailey, or Jeremiah Fears? Because that's what you may need versus what's best available. And with the Dallas Mavericks currently constructed with the talent that we have in Anthony Davis and Kyrie when he's back, with Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, all the guys, you can argue that maybe the best player available isn't necessarily what you need, but the best player that fits the team is exactly what you need to go for. It's going to be pretty tough. But like I said, it's a very deep draft. There's a lot of good players that we can get, a lot of very impressive players as well. But if we take a look right here, the Dallas Mavericks have the 11th best odds at the number one overall pick. 1.8%. Like I said, 1.8% we can get the number one pick. I've messed around with Tankathon a few times. I've gotten the 4th pick overall with only a few clicks. So it's a good chance that we can move up. I mean, we have a better chance of moving up than moving down, essentially, if the math checks out. But that's where we land. And even at the 11th pick, you can still find a good player. If you take a look right here, at least from ESPN, says that the NBA draft mock board goes Cooper Flag number 1, Dylan Harper at number 2, Ace Bailey number 3, VJ Edgecombe at number 4, Jeremiah Fears at number 5, Trey Johnson number 6, Kasparis at number 7, Common Maloch at number 8, Con Nuppel at number 9, Derek Queen at number 10, Colin Murray Boyles at number 11, Igor Demon at number 12, Jace Richardson at number 13, Noah at number 14, and Liam McNeely at number 15. Sorry if I mispronounced any of these players' names. A lot of them did very well in the Sweet 16, in the whole March Madness, and some of them will probably have a bigger standout once when they make it to the NBA. But if we are the 11th pick, 12th pick, Colin Murray Boyles, who is a forward, or Igor Demon, who is a guard, who some people say remind them of Luka Doncic. That's, at least according to this is where we will land. But like I said, even if we don't get the number one pick, and we don't get Cooper Flag, or we don't get Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, or any of the top 4 or 5 guys, that does not mean we cannot find a good player. Even if we drop down to number 11, we can get Jace Richardson, we can get Igor Demon. There are a lot of good players, and like I said, on this channel, from now until next week, we're going to be doing a deep dive into each of these players that could possibly fall to the Mavericks, depending on where we land, of course, in the lottery. But even if we are the last pick, if for whatever reason Cooper Flag falls down to pick number 14, we're going to talk about the reasons why we should versus why we shouldn't draft that player. But the draft, nonetheless, will be very important for the Mavericks next Monday when we find out the results of the lottery. That'll be even more important to see where we land, what are our odds of getting so-and-so, and who should we actually go after. But just continuing with this, right now, the one thing that we have to look at is contracts. For this upcoming season, Dante Exum and Spencer Dinwiddie are going to be unrestricted free agents. They are not on contract. Dante dealing with injury after injury after injury, or Spencer Dinwiddie, who's constantly thinking he's Luka Doncic. You got to take your pick. Either you bring one back, you bring none of them back, or maybe you bring both back just because you're unsure of Jaden Hardy, you're unsure of Brandon Williams, and if you draft a rookie point guard to hold down that position. I'd argue that, but it should be between Dante and Spencer. You pick one of those two to be that secondary or even tertiary point guard to back up the young guys and just be that more experienced point guard on the bench. I don't see a point in bringing both back, but you can make arguments for both. Dante plays better defense. Spencer can sometimes be a more of an offensive threat. His passing has definitely improved. So those are the pros and cons between those two. And if we bring neither of them back, then yes, you'll have more run out of Brandon Williams, more run out of Jaden Hardy, and if you do draft a point guard in the draft, more run for them. But I think you should definitely go for one of the two. And as well, just to bring back how well we have drafted in the past, back when we drafted Derrick Lively, we got Derrick Lively, Omax, as well as Rashawn Holmes, and that night we traded out Davis Bertans. Are the Mavs the biggest winners of the draft? I think so. Derrick Lively had an amazing rookie year. Omax is still developing. We traded away Rashawn Holmes, and we got Daniel Gafford, so it wasn't that bad of a draft night. I was definitely excited, but I wasn't the only one that was excited, as this one person, as a lot of you may know is slightly biased, was absolutely ecstatic on draft night, saying the Dallas Mavericks left the draft with the best non-Wemby rim protector protector in the draft, one of the most versatile defenders in the draft, Bertans off the roster, access to the full MLE, and 2 great young prospects. Delusional summer is back. Shout out to the homie, slightly biased. That's a brother, a good dear friend of mine. And yes, I felt the same way on draft night when we got Derrick Lively, as well as Omax, as well as getting Bertans off the roster and all that other stuff that we did. And so it's not too crazy to think that we could have another night like that this upcoming summer, the next month or two that we have until draft night. It could definitely happen. We can make all the right moves. Nico Harrison has a good track record when it comes to the draft, and even though he may not be that great at trades, maybe he can do even better on draft night to try to give us some form of a future. We have a lottery pick. You should be able to get a player to help you, not just now, but in the long term. And if things don't look good this upcoming season, hey, we have another first round pick for next year's draft. Maybe we'll get Bryce James. Maybe we'll get somebody else. The future doesn't look that bad when you stop and take a look at it. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think that the Mavericks should trade their first round pick for someone else? Or is Cooper, Flag, or Jeremiah Fears, or Igor the type of players you want to see on the Mavericks? Let me know in the comment section down below. We can have a conversation about it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for making this far to the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. Consider becoming a channel member. We are doing a giveaway every single month on this channel. Only way to enter our giveaways is to become a channel member of any tier. But till next time, y'all take care, drink water. Peace.